Hey folks, welcome to Banter Corner. I have Chamat and Afsa with me. So we'll start with the Liverpool and Man City games. To start off, let's start by questioning this solo Man City fan about the result. It looks like Man City came back after terrible game week 1.
Well, it wasn't terrible. Looks like we're starting the banter. Okay. But no, it wasn't a bad week, right? But no, honestly, I think we hadn't scored in 3 of our last games. That's counting like the Champions League final
Okay.
and Community Shield, and like coming to this, our first game at Tottenham, we hadn't scored. But I think all those inquiries and questions were answered with a 5-0 whooping trash. I know it's Norwich, but still.
Yeah, no, I expected that. I think that has been consistent with Pep's teams after a terrible result.
Trashing.
The next game week, you trash whatever team.
Yeah.
And I think since 2016, the 5+ goals scored games, Man City has given us 50% of those games. That's an interesting stat. And I feel like all those 5+ games came after a terrible defeat.
Yeah, it's like motivation. It's like no, but
Yeah.
with the lineup like that, it's expected. It was Norwich. It was definitely expected. I think our predictions were also pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we saw. We could have done more. We honestly could have done more. We had a scoring opportunity. I think we had one scoring. It could have been like 6-0. I think VAR ruled it off. But honestly, really good performance from the defense, especially from Ruben Diaz and Laporte. They were amazing. I think like Laporte showed why he was like one of City's best defenders not too long ago. But he showed he's worth it. He had like over 100 passes. He only missed 2. That he had 9 out of 11, I think, long balls. And even Ruben Diaz, he was running back and forth. And he also just had over 100 successful passes, right? And then we had Gundogan. He is a silent killer, right? I loved him throughout the entire game. He was just like creating space, and yeah. And then we come to Grealish. His first goal, he wasn't sure he was going to score that goal. But
I think that can be counted as the goal of the season. Goal.
He didn't even know. He was just like yeah, obviously celebrating. Obviously, his first home goal for City. But he was just standing there. There and he just touched it. He was just like. And we have Jesus. 3 out of 4 assists. I think out of the 4 goals, 3 assists were from him from the right, coming in from the right and just like centering the ball.
I think he deserves to be your main striker.
Yeah. Now that Mr. Kane is apparently staying and not coming to City, he has potential. Like last week, if you guys watched our podcast last week on the review of the first game week, I was kind of not too happy with Jesus, saying he's lost his touch. But like he's good, yeah. But let's see how it goes. It's only game week 2.
But I think Jesus might continue to play in the wing, and Ferran Torres might be the striker for
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. Like Jesus he's not as good as he was as a main striker, but he showed that he's really good in the wing. He's really good with making that cut and just like centering the ball. And we have
even for Brazil, he plays in the wing.
Yeah, and we have people like Grealish to just stay and tap it in.
Yeah, okay, so that's good. Samat has changed his mind since last week. Like Kane has changed his mind to stay at Spurs.
Kane.
But I have a
I think-
question for you now. Grealish is more attacking at City than he was at Villa. So he gets into the box more often than he was at Villa. So when KDB is fit, where do you think Grealish will play? Will he drop back?
Talking about that, before that, I think we should talk about KDB. Boy is having too much trouble. He's having a lot of injuries. Like the latest news was like, so he had like during the Euros, you guys know, like he had the whole bone, the fracture and everything, right? And he's been having ankle problems. To be honest, the season is unclear for him. That's the latest news that's coming out. At least the first half of the season is unclear for him because he is having a recurring ankle problem. He's been playing with the ankle problem.
Okay,
So
I
do you
read
think
an
it was a
article.
mistake to play him in the first game?
Yeah, it was, I don't know, it wasn't expected for him to come out in the first game. If I mean, all of us play FBL. It was like, I think 25% or 25% or 50% chance of play, and then you just see him come and play. But turns out he played with the ankle injury.
So he's not in contention to start the next game week.
I don't.
Is he not in training?
He is, but he has a recurring ankle problem. But he's not physically fit to play. But he wants to play. But he's not. Even last game they played him, but like he wasn't fit. I don't know why. It's like Pep's acting like we don't have a squad without KDB.
Okay, I am deeply affected by this because of my draft. So if Upstart still wants De Bruyne, I'm willing to make that trade because I thought he did not train for Norwich, so he was left out of the squad. And once he's back in training, he'll be in contention to start because that's what I read, but I am not sure now.
I don't think he'll play I don't think he'll play the next game. I hope he doesn't, because we don't want him having long-term injury, because the ankle problem, if it's recurring, probably want him to find a solution before start playing. Coming back to Afzal's question, I think if KDB does come, Grealish would still play up front. According to like what I feel is Pep would actually still play Grealish up front, because Grealish, like De Bruyne, like he takes his shots from outside the box, right? He creates those passes. Grealish finds his way into the box. I feel like he would still play inside the box to receive those and center. We have too many forwards in midfield. Sorry.
So would he play on the left or the right?
He'd play on the left.
So my question to add to that is, where is Sterling going to play if Grealish is going to play on the left?
Sterling's start to the season with City was a bit rocky. He had his contract renewal had issues. He was pissed off at his contract renewal. We weren't sure what was going to happen with him, but like now he's renewed his contract. But yeah, I have no idea what Pep's thinking. Like, we have too many midfielders. We have too many players. One thing I'm sure is we are going to see a lot of substitutions. No, like at least, like some of our key players won't be playing exactly, like they won't be playing the full 90. I can guarantee that.
Okay, so not rotations, but we're going to see substitutions.
Yeah, I feel like we'll be seeing substitutions. Like Sterling might not start for one. Sterling might not start. I'm sorry, but Sterling might not start. Yeah, we'll be seeing a lot of substitutions. That's what I feel like.
Well, what's going to happen with Bernardo Silva? Because I know he wants to leave the club. Is there any offer for him?
I am not aware of any offer for Bernardo. But yeah, I'm not sure of any offer that has come through for Bernardo yet. Yeah.
And do you think Pep will go back to get a striker?
No.
Or he'll wait till the January window to get Kane again?
So Cristiano Ronaldo is knocking on the door.
Yes, I saw that. I just glanced through it today. Was it offer made by Ronaldo or like?
No, it's Ronaldo staying out of the team. So he's trying to force an exit, I believe. And Premier League is, I don't know, the articles I read.
I don't know how I don't know how I feel about Ronaldo coming to City though.
T-shirt sales though.
See, Pep was really fixed on Kane. Now Kane's not coming. I don't know what happened there, but I don't think we'll go in for another striker. We didn't have a backup striker we'd want to go for. I think we'll just play with this squad at least for this transfer window, and like we'll probably see what's going to happen. But I think I don't see any other big signings happening for City for this transfer window.
Okay. So Sterling, I am hopeful because Pep had praised him after the Norwich game, and I don't know if it was a media interview, but Pep had instructed Grealish to learn from Sterling. So I feel like Sterling has a big role this season.
Yeah, but Sterling, even the Norwich game, he was subbed in. Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't start.
Impact, right?
Yeah, Sterling is gonna be subbed in. I feel like Sterling is gonna be subbed in. I don't think he will start. He will start a couple of games, obviously, but I feel like he mostly be subbed in.
Okay. As long as he makes an impact, I'll be happy.
Let's see for your hope, for your sake.
For my draft.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to
Liverpool.
Yeah, let's move on to Liverpool.
Guys, so what do you think?
So do you have any questions for Liverpool? Because we have had a great start to the season.
Yeah, I think let's start with like how do you think your game went against the last?
Afzal, do you want to take it on it?
Yeah, so the first 20 minutes, I think Burnley played really well. They were pressing high. And then I think we were not playing our game in the first 20 minutes. So after that, we slowly got into the game. And, last year we were talking about lack of goals from Liverpool after Van Dijk got injury. He got injured. The second goal proved us why we need him for us in attack. His diagonal passes to the wing is very important for us to create space in the middle. And I think even Trent will get into the box more often now. And Salah is going to play a bit wide. I think that's what's going to happen this season.
RIP for everyone who captained Salah though. Salah blank.
He had a good game. He had a very good game.
Yeah.
And he had the goal taken off too.
That was a very nice finish.
Do you guys expect more with Burnley though?
I mean, we are okay with that. In the Premier League is a guarantee.
But I feel like you could have.
Yeah, we could have. But
I predicted a 2-0 win.
Yeah. Oh, he predicted. Yeah, Afzal got it right. But what I loved about that game was the assists for both goals were from our wing backs. That it's a Liverpool of the last two seasons, and I feel like we are getting back into our rhythm. And having our defenders back, like Afzal said, gives a lot to that because it takes a lot of the pressure off the wing backs, and like they're able to attack. So I feel like we are going to see more Liverpool goals this season, and with a great start of the season compared to Man City, Man United, I'm in a good place. I'm in a very good place.
But defensively, we are not there yet. We were very lucky not to concede.
Yeah. I think I lost you guys for a second. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear you?
What do you think about Jota? Is Jota finding his permanent place in the starting 11?
No. I think the big games, Firmino will continue to start. And I badly want Firmino to start the games because he's very important to us in attack.
Yeah.
Because he's the one who creates space for Mane and Salah.
Definitely, yeah. I expected to see more Firmino last game, though. I was very surprised to not see Firmino play the last game. But I guess
I'm actually okay with Jota starting, but I believe that Firmino needs to be subbed into the game because he makes a difference that Jota doesn't make. He actually connects the front three in a way that Jota still hasn't been able to. So in some games you need Diogo Jota, and in some games you need Roberto Firmino. So it's up to Klopp to decide when it's right to pick whom. But so far he's got it right. Let's see.
But
And,
most of the big games, I think,
go ahead.
good.
yeah, most of the big games, I think Firmino will start.
So you guys are saying your next game, which is a really big game.
Yeah.
You guys think Firmino will start?
Yeah.
Rasida?
I am actually balanced between Jota and Firmino at the moment because Jota is clinical in the box, man. Like you can't just leave him on the bench when he keeps scoring for us. He gets the crucial opening goal, which opens the game for us. So I'm still 50-50. It's up to Klopp.
Firmino, if you ever see this video, we'd like to know where you get your teeth whitened from. I would like your dentist number, please. Man, that guy. Yeah, so you guys want to tell us anything else about
We can talk about the upcoming match. If we are playing Chelsea.
yeah.
Also, what do you think? Do we have a proper battle in line for us?
Yeah, I think Fabinho coming back, he is very crucial for us because what Lukaku is going to do is hold up the play and then create space for the wing backs to come in. So if Fabinho is back, he's not going to do it. He won't be able to do it. But if Fabinho will play a very key part in that game, it will be an interesting game. But in the previous game against Arsenal, they scored goals very easily. The right flank was open always. So that's not going to happen with us. But then I don't think it will be a high scoring game. It will probably be a 1-0 or a 1-1 game.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle, definitely. Also, do you think Fabinho is going to be back for the Chelsea game?
Yeah, he's back in training.
Okay, he's back in. That's good.
It's going to be Fabinho, Henderson, and one of the other midfielders, either Keita or Thiago.
Do you think Van Dijk will contain Lukaku?
I hope so. Is it the first time they're going up against each other?
No, they played when he was at United.
But that's a long time ago.
But that the United Lukaku was a very different look today. So we'll see. I certainly hope Liverpool gets the best. What do you think, Chama?
I think I'll agree with Afzal. It might be a very, very close game. I am not biased towards either of the teams. Well, actually, I am towards Liverpool because I'm not a big fan of Chelsea. Chelsea, I think it'll be a very close game. And Van Dijk, I think it'll be it's like a perfect matchup. I think it's a perfect matchup. Both of them can get quite physical. Both of them are very well built. Because Lukaku was running. Lukaku was like running the game when Chelsea played Arsenal. He was toying with the defenders. It was quite sad to see Arsenal like it was like his first game he was like open most of the time. He was open. He was making runs. He was doing his signature spin around. But with Van Dijk, I think it will be a very, very close game. It'll be an interesting game to watch.
It's not just Van Dijk. Joel Matip, I think he is gonna start. He's a beast.
Very underrated defender in the Premier League.
But he held Lewandowski back, right? At
Anfield.
Was it 2 seasons ago? Yeah, at Anfield.
So both the leagues, I think.
Both legs. Yeah, exactly. So Matip and Van Dijk, hopefully we can see them shut Lukaku down. and I hope.
And the game is at Anfield,
Salah
so
goes. Yeah, and I hope we see
that will be that will be a very important factor to the games at Anfield.
Yeah.
I was reading up.
we won't lose. I think it will either be a 1-0 win for us or a draw.
Oof, that's a confident statement. We won't lose. Damn.
Yeah, we are back for blood. This season is about getting back there. Because
Interesting. I think
yeah.
our next fixture is with a team that's right now down there. We're playing Arsenal next.
Okay.
It'll be a very interesting game. I think it won't be a high scoring game, but you never know. City is back. The city is, we are back. The citizens are back. So it might be I'm expecting a high scoring game. If Arsenal continues to flop around like they're doing. But yeah, expecting a 4-0 or maybe somewhere around. We should be looking to score at least 4 goals.
Okay, so enough about Liverpool and Man City. Shall we move on to the other fixtures?
Yeah,
there were some exciting games, exciting goals,
and
we were about how Grealish. Probably Afzal was joking about how Grealish scored the goal of the season, but what about Danny Ings? What a goal! Did you see that?
Yeah,
That's
The bicycle kick.
No, I did not. I didn't watch all the games.
Dude, what a goal!
I think Southampton's goal was really good. Really, it was a deflection, but like the play leading up to the goal against United.
Yeah,
it was just like a back touch and then a shot deflected. But I think the play leading up to the goal was really nice. Let me. So we'll run through the fixtures now.
Yeah, we can.
Shall we come from West Ham to?
Yeah, let's do that.
That was the last game, actually.
That was the last game. Yeah.
West Ham was a killer. West Ham is.
Yeah, let's start with West Ham then.
West Ham is riding the wave, boys. Like they are. Antonio and Benrahma are teasing.
And you got Benrahma off my hands.
I didn't expect you to give me Benrahma, but like.
No. I still have hope in Sterling, man. He hasn't performed this season, so he still has a lot to give.
Antonio overtook. He broke the record for all-time scorer at West Ham. Yeah.
West Ham, yeah.
Yeah. 4-1.
The red card changed the score of the game, I think, but then the outcome was obvious. West Ham they were dominating from the start.
Yeah.
And one thing about Antonio, he looks very determined this season, and he looks like a man with a plan, because even the first game week, until the second half, the last part of the game, I saw him, making runs, but keeping, like, he was mostly like hibernating until the other team got, a little bit tired. And that's when his full energy came out. Like, he made very good runs. The first game week, he made runs like from the midfield, and he'd get in the box for the final pass, and he'd score. And even in this game, I didn't watch this game, but he had scored 2 late goals. So I feel like that was consistent in the first 2 games, and I think he's gonna keep doing that, because
do you think it's overall strategy?
Yeah, I think
just like
exactly. He can outmuscle almost anyone.
Yeah.
He's only second to Lukaku by the books, because he looks in Adama Traore, but he's pretty strong, and I think that tactic has been working for him, and let's see where it takes him. So far, it's great goals.
But for West Ham, I think the tricky part will start when they start the Europa games. So that's when it's important to see if they can keep their squad fit, because they don't have a very big squad.
Yeah.
They have Zuma coming in.
Oh yeah,
but
they do have Zuma coming in.
defensively, I don't think they are still good enough.
This is what happens
And-
to like most teams like West Ham, Leicester. They usually start off well, but they don't have big names. And when all the other tournaments start, right? Like when the international games and stuff start, their main players are not on roster, and then they tend to lose games and drop down the table.
And they don't have another striker with them. Only Antonio is there, and Antonio is very injury prone. They are linked with Torigi, but I don't know what's going to happen with that.
So let's move on to the Southampton and United game.
Let's shit on United.
Yeah, West Ham incredible, and I think
United had dominance from.
they're going to be high scoring.
I think the first few minutes, right from the start, United had dominance. They should have used this and scored, but they didn't. And then what happened was, like, the defensive third was pretty sloppy, right? Even the goal that Southampton scored was, I think it was Bruno's fault. He lost the ball. And then it was just like a small touch. It was a touchback, and who scored the goal? Can't remember who scored the Southampton goal. But
for Southampton, Adams.
Adams.
Yeah.
So it was a defensive sloppiness, right? United should have used that and scored early half, right? And Pogba did play a good game. It was Pogba's dying efforts to tap the ball that Greenwood scored. And De Gea made a good save. I think that showed why he was on top a while ago. It was, I think, Adams. He made if that save hadn't come through, Southampton would have won the game. I was low-key hoping that Southampton would, just so that we can shut Man U fans up. But De Gea made a really good save, and yeah. But I think overall Southampton deserved to win that game, bro.
What do you guys think about Fred? That's it. So I think this game showed us why they need a world-class manager at United. It was very bad from Ole to have two midfielders, especially Matic and Fred, starting together. They needed a progressive midfielder like Van der Beek because they were holding the ball too much. And Pogba, he played on the left, but when Rashford is back, I don't think he'll play there. So
what's happening with Cavani and Rashford? Are they injured?
Rashford is injured. He's out till October, and Cavani, I think he started training this week.
Yeah.
Can we see him in the next game?
I don't think he'll play the next game. Most probably Greenwood will play up front, and Sancho will come in for Martial, I think. And they might make a change in the midfield as well. Either Fred or Matic will go out for McTominay.
I think Fred should go out. Like, even the Southampton game, I couldn't watch the entire game. I was watching it a bit. Fred, he couldn't connect. Fred was having trouble in like connecting. He couldn't like get those passes.
Yeah.
He was blocked. He looked very blocked.
Yeah. I think Fred had a bad game.
Yeah.
I personally do not rate Fred very highly. I think he plays a defensive role, but he gets out muscled, man.
Yeah.
It's you defend when you get out muscled so easily.
Yeah. Not saying anything about like his physical structure, but
because Kante, come on, Kante does an incredible job.
Exactly.
And Fred has not replicated that.
Fred gets pushed around like he's a school kid.
Yeah. And as a Liverpool supporter, I like Man U to play Fred all the time. But nah, man, it wasn't a good game.
Honestly, yeah. Like Fred reminds me a bit of playing PD football.
And back to Greenwood. So
What a
Greenwood.
finisher.
So Manchester United fans want Greenwood to start as their striker, but Ole brought in Martial and shifted Greenwood to the right or the left. I'm not sure to which side. And fans are not happy with this because
Martial was shifted to the right, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, because Ole keeps giving Martial chances when Man U fans want Greenwood
I just
to
saw
start
this.
as their
No, I have no
striker.
idea why he didn't start Sancho. You should
Yeah,
have
that-
started Sancho.
Ole had,
that too.
Ole had defended Martial. Ole had defended Martial. Let me just find it. Ole had defended Martial. Like they had asked. I think it was post match conference, and they'd be like, fans weren't happy with why Martial played. Ole had defended Martial.
Yeah, I think Ole had plans on bringing Martial into the mix too because he's coming off injury and he wants the options. But Greenwood is in amazing form since the preseason, and Man U fans want to see Greenwood get in that first like striker position, like to himself, no moving around, you know.
I feel like Greenwood played. I think Greenwood is in the box when you need him, or he's right there when you need him.
I think he's class. Yeah, he's a young talent.
He's a very good finisher.
Yeah.
So this is what Ole has said. Ole has jumped to the defense of underperforming striker Anthony Martial, insisting he's delighted with the Frenchman.
Well, I'm delighted too. He can keep Martial if he wants to.
Ole is not going to be liked by Man U fans if he keeps.
I'm cool if he benches Pogba, Greenwood, Fernandes, all of them in the game against us. I'm cool with that. You know, Fred.
We want Fred.
We want Fred. He was Fred.
He was Fred.
And Ole is under pressure this season because he's backed by the board this year. He got his signings.
Okay.
I think they should win a trophy, at least the League Cup.
Mm.
You think?
I'm happy if he stays for another 5 years. I don't mind that.
Do you think United?
But I think he's under pressure.
You think United is gonna dip again as usual?
United just did, bro.
Yeah, actually.
They need a CDM. They need a CDM very badly.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we move on to Spurs?
Keep
Spurs and
making us happy. Yeah, we can move on to Spurs.
Yeah, we have 2.5 minutes. We'll leave this and join again. No?
Yeah. So we're done with United. We'll start with Spurs then, no?
Spurs barely got the best out of the game with a penalty. But Nuno came back to his old team and he got a win. So that's good. But I think
he was lucky to get a win.
Yeah, I think Wolves actually controlled that game. Wolves were very unlucky. They, I think, dominated possession and had way more shots than Spurs did.
What do you guys think about the fan reaction to Kane coming back?
Did they boo Kane?
He was booed, yeah?
He was booed. I mean, he deserves some of the boos. But Spurs fans also need to understand that he's a very ambitious guy. If Spurs do not share those ambitions, then he wants to make a move. But this season, Spurs, I feel like Spurs are still in contention to compete for the league. I mean, we got 1-0 wins the season. We were champions too. So that games and bad games, but I still feel like they are part of the group contending for the Premier League.
But I think the games we won 1-0, we controlled the game. Here, they didn't control the game at all. Wolves had 25 shots and they had only 8 shots.
Oh wait, apparently he wasn't booed. Apparently, they were chanting, Harry Kane, he's one of our own. Sorry, Spurs supporters. Sorry, Kevin Rose. But yeah,
We love him. That's good.
Kane staying, so you guys actually have a chance this time. But Wolves has been playing pretty good from the start of the season.
Yeah, but Nuno is looking to take one of their main men away to Spurs, Adama Traore. Yeah, so the transfer window is still open, and let's see if that move happens.
Yeah, it's a loan with a 40 million obligation to buy.
I think
Traore is a good player, but then I think he really needs to improve in his finishing.
Yeah.
Ole to Martial is Nuno to Dele Alli. Because Nuno has like put all his trust in Dele Alli, and like it's like he's found a new lease on life. He's being, because to be fair, Dele Alli is not being playing his best football. Like he's not been best in playing his best football, but during the Wolves games, he actually did do his best. He actually played really well, and I think Nuno keeps on playing him and giving him the opportunity to like come back to the Dele Alli we know. So I think that was good to see.
But it's interesting to see how he will play when Kane comes back to the team. The position he's going to take. And Bergwijn was their main player, was their best player at Wolves. So it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to play once Kane is back in the team.
I didn't watch that game though. I just like watched the highlights. How was Lucas Moura's play? Did he play well or?
No, he didn't have a good game.
He didn't have a good game.
No.
Makes sense, but people are trying to sell him off. so many people in FPL. And I set off more, and I was like,
But if Adama Traore makes a move to Spurs, I think that's going to be interesting because he doesn't have to finish. There are enough finishers at Spurs. If he holds a ball up and creates that final pass into the box, I think that's going to add a different dimension to Spurs. So let's see how that situation goes about. Let's move on to the Arsenal Chelsea game. We did chat a little about it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Talking about Arsenal, I think Ramsdale is finally confirmed from Sheffield. And I don't know what's going to happen to Leno.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? I think Arteta was very insistent on getting Ramsdale, so I think he's going to be the main keeper, obviously. And
and not just Ramsdale. I'm actually surprised Arsenal topped the list of the highest spenders in the Premier League.
So I was very surprised. Arsenal was up there, and I was just like, who did you sign?
This is not the Arsenal I know.
Who did you sign?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Who did they sign? That too. They actually signed young. They invested in younger talent. I think I'm not sure who, but a player of the past, Arsenal player of the past, had tweeted that he wanted Arsenal to invest in, players in their prime because that's who they need right now.
They're getting a lot of young players. Okay, Ramsdale is not bad. Ramsdale was actually pretty good at Sheffield, even though like they suffered, like they were last, they didn't do quite well. But Ramsdale is pretty good, and I feel like he'd do better at Arsenal, obviously, compared to Sheffield. And also, sadly, Ben White has COVID, and he won't be playing City next game. Other than that, I think Chelsea could have scored more, in my opinion.
Yeah, but Arsenal investing in younger talent, I think that also shows that
in the long run,
the Arsenal board is really invested in the long run, and Arteta. So I think they have a very long-term plan with Arteta.
What do you think about that? I thought Arteta was going to be sacked.
No, what? Wasn't he just signed?
Was that no? Who? Yeah, it was Arteta who was going to be sacked and he was going to be replaced by. Or was that Ole?
No, I don't think Arteta is going to be sacked.
Yes.
Arsenal can't keep sacking their managers, and
Yes.
who are they going to replace?
Conte is still there. He doesn't have a club.
Interesting. I think we still haven't seen the best of
Okay,
Arteta.
Arsenal fans want Arteta sacked. Yeah, Arsenal fans want Arteta sacked.
The thing with Arsenal is they still haven't scored a goal in the Premier League. And they don't have their best players with them as well.
Guys,
Yeah.
I know it's only game week 2, but like seriously.
Yeah. I think Lacazette could be back this week or right after the international break.
He's expected to be back on 28th of August.
Yeah.
For the City game. I don't know how that's going to work out. But guys, I mean,
it could be a good game. Lacazette, Saka, and Emil Smith Rowe.
Xhaka is also playing, yeah. But like, it's sad when you are the top spending club of currently the top spending club, and you're on like you're 19th out of 20.
Yeah, it is. It is there in the relegation zone.
Yes.
I think this is the worst start Arsenal has had to a season. Two losses, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But I still know it's like only game week 2, but like still, come on.
Yeah, Arsenal, come on. We'll keep saying that every week until
you win a game. Yeah, I think let's move on. We spoke about Liverpool and Burnley.
Yeah, we did.
Aston Villa and Newcastle.
Aston Villa, Ings scored a beautiful bicycle kick. I think that
looks very promising. Ings looks very promising.
Yeah.
This season.
Yeah, and Aston Villa has been getting the better of Newcastle in the last 3-4 matchups. So I think people expected that result, but that Ings goal really opened that game up for Aston Villa.
And they played without Watkins and Bailey as well.
Oh yeah. Watkins is expected back after the international break too. So that's going to be interesting how Watkins and Ings are going to share a forward role.
I personally think Ings is in really good form. He's been scoring, I think he scored all both the games they played. Yeah. I think Ings is in good form. I don't think they should disturb that.
They might play a 4-4-2.
Interesting to see how that plays out for Aston Villa. Moving on, Crystal Palace and Brentford.
Yeah, I think we need to highlight Brentford in that result, because Brentford looked like they're determined to stay in the Premier League. 2 excellent results to start the season.
Many clubs like Brentford are like so determined and doing well, and when you see Arsenal, I'm sorry, I'm sitting on Arsenal, but like I was sitting on Arsenal last week as well, but like, guys, come on, like Brentford is Brentford.
Look at Brentford, come on.
Brentford, guys, learn, come on. But I think Brentford, Crystal Palace is not a bad team. Brentford won the fight with them.
I think defensively, both the teams have performed well in both the games. I know Crystal Palace conceded 3, but then they played really well against Chelsea defensively. And Brentford, 2 games, 2 clean sheets.
Yeah. It's been a great start to the season for Brentford.
Talking about clean sheets, even Brighton has been having clean sheets, yeah? Sanchez
should we jump to Brighton? Or should we
let's go to Leeds, yeah.
Yeah.
Leeds, man. Leeds is also another team that's bringing it up this season.
Leeds, again, look at the amount of goals in the game, 4 goals. High scoring game.
Always high scoring games with Leeds, no?
Yeah. Last season, I think the Leeds matchups, they amounted to around 120 goals, way more than anyone else. They've scored around 60 and they've conceded around 60. So that's what you expect from a Leeds game, and they really deliver attacking football on both ends.
How do you guys rate Rafinha's performance?
Ooh, what a goal. What a goal.
He's taking more shots compared to last season. Last season, he was creating chances, but this year he's taking a lot of shots.
Is he going to
score more goals this year?
Is he going to be Leeds savior this season?
He was last year.
Yeah.
But this year now they are still playing without Llorente. So I think they'll improve defensively once he's back. But this is how they're going to play. This is how they play.
Yeah, this is how they play.
And Everton.
Everton. I think there's a lot to talk about. Rivals, city rivals. They look good.
But they could be doing
especially DCL.
Did they win their first game? I'm not too sure. Did they win their first game?
They did, right?
Not too sure.
But they've added Demaria Gray, and I think that's a really good signing. And one in the Premier League, Demaria Gray. And they don't have James Rodriguez back.
Yes.
So
yes, James Rodriguez. That's someone I'm waiting to see. Mostly because he's on my draft. 1, and 2, he's been out for a while, and I'd like to see how he come back and whether we'll get to see the James Rodriguez we all know.
I don't think he'll be back actually because he wants to move out of the club.
Oh,
from Everton?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
I wanted him to actually. I wanted to see how he'd actually play at Everton and like whether we'll see the James Rodriguez we know. But
Everton, I think they changed the way they are playing after Benitez came in because Doucouré is getting into the box a lot, and Lucas Digne is playing more defensively. So the attacks from the left side is from Gray. So Digne is staying back, and Gray is creating the chances and getting into the box with Doucouré.
So they have DCL, Gray, and Richarlison up front.
And they have Townsend as well, another very good player.
DCL had some good shots. He had some mad shots during the game. I think he's also playing pretty well there.
I think Everton's made very smart signings in the last couple of seasons. And
DCL I think has to be like a good signing for them.
I'm expecting a good derby, a Merseyside derby. Hopefully they don't injure our players this season and focus more on the football. It's I don't know, since
like damn Spurs.
Since
Kill City.
Since Ancelotti and Klopp, I think they had a really good friendship. So the Everton hate has went down a little bit, but let's see how that changes this season now that he's left. But still, they do have a good team. So let's see what they do this season.
Moving on, we spoke about Man City and then Brighton. Brighton has been having clean sheets as well. Yeah, they have been playing really well. I think kudos to Sanchez.
Kudos to Graham Potter too. Isn't he the manager?
Yeah.
But
I think
Watford has been having not the best start to the season, right?
Yeah, Watford.
Yeah, did Watford beat Arsenal? No, Brentford beat Arsenal, yeah?
Watford drew against Villa.
Yeah.
Honestly,
they won. I think they won.
It's very early in the season to talk about.
They had a good opening game. But Brighton, we have to give all credit to Brighton here, I feel like, because last season Brighton performed well. but they had some bad results,
Yeah.
which gone the other way. They had some bad results, and they managed to stay in the league. But I feel like Brighton is a top 10 team, and they can go there. They have the talent, and so far the season has been good. I think they have 2 wins now, and
It's a young side. It's a very young side for Brighton.
I think there's a lot to come from Brighton and Mr. Graham Potter.
He's a very good manager.
Yeah.
And last year they were very unlucky with the results.
Yeah.
But this year, I think Bissouma is their main player. He played really well against Watford.
Bissouma,
and
Maupay, and Pascal Gross. I rate all 3 of them.
And they have a few players missing as well because Lamptey is still not available.
Oh, they have
Weltman is injured. Dan Burn is injured.
Oh, wow.
So because of that, only Shane Duffy was playing.
This is Brighton, yeah.
Oh, so Duffy is no longer a starting player?
Duffy is not actually a starting player.
Okay, interesting.
But he started because of these injuries they have.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that brings us to the end of the fixtures.
Okay, yeah. So we've covered the Premier League game week 2. Man City came back with a fiery win to show that they're still in contention. They're not gonna let
we're still champions.
They're not gonna let the Premier League slip away.
And
Liverpool
treble this time.
and Liverpool consistent, which is the Liverpool we know in the recent past. But before that, it was heart attack football. We hope we don't see heart attack football this season, and hopefully Virgil van Dijk calms it down.
Yeah, to recap, like Lassia said, City, Liverpool, then we shat on United
together.
and Arsenal, as always. Arsenal, learn from Brentford, guys. Gotta learn from Brentford. So I think that's it for this week. Yeah, we'll see you after game week 3 to see whether Arsenal is still at the bottom.
Yeah, and tomorrow, after this episode, you'll be getting our fantasy segment with everyone, where we will be covering our fantasy update on how the Banter Corner League went about. We're going to shout the top 4 in that league, and we'll be giving we'll be talking about exciting new players, prospects that you should add to your watch list, or if you are an impatient manager like me, or a manager on a budget, a player you would want to add to your team right away. So we'll be covering all that in the next episode. We'll be covering our prediction results for the top 6, and we'll be making new predictions as well. So look forward to all that, and we hope to see you in that episode.
See you guys.
Cheers.
Signing off.